waiting for everybody to be set with their... And we're back. Texting is finished. Welcome back to the Smart to Noise Ratio Pro Audio Podcast. I'm your humble host, John Dayton, joined tonight by your regular co-host, Anthony Kozabucki.
Hey.
Who is in a state of near sickness, almost done with sickness.
Alka-Seltzer, cold, and flu medicine bliss.
He's feeling that. New Year's bliss. And special guest tonight, actually, former regular podcast member. We're happy to have him back. Things have finally cleared up enough for him to join us again. Was the missus, she come down with something? Is that how you escaped?
No. We just finally gave her the ring and asked you two guys to be in the wedding, and, well, now I'm here.
So anyway,
you got Saturday nights back by getting engaged? How the hell?
Not exactly, but...
That's a pretty good trick.
It's kind of one of those, I haven't seen the boys in a while. Can I go?
Please? Yeah, that's more... That's about the speed. So that's Gordon Wood, who is the latest of the bunch to jump on the holy matrimony. Carl was the last one. I think it was one of those summer podcasts, the ones you heard with all the crickets in the background. That was one of his last ones. Then he had to go pop the question and get married, and now he's all set. He says he's ready to join us again, but I can't get him to return my calls. So we'll see how that goes.
Never mind.
Yeah, it's a family show. So anyway, we're back. Not exactly sure what we're going to talk about because we've already, Gordon and I have been hanging out for the last 2 hours, so hopefully we didn't, one, wear out our vocal cords shouting at each other in a restaurant, and two, run out of material.
I don't think we could ever run out of material. We've been
there's plenty.
doing this for way too long.
Plenty. The hot subject just a moment ago was Les Mis, the movie coming out, and Anthony has just been, literally, just pulled back in. He's still suffering from that affliction, I think is how he would have phrased it.
Yep.
I'm a little bit excited to go see it because I've mixed two productions of it, both by award-winning high school and youth theater actors. So I'm interested to see a cast of pros do it in a film setting. I've seen it playing on stage, I think, and I probably wouldn't go see this if it hadn't been for my previous attachment to it, because it's a dark ride. Like, if you don't know, it's a dark ride. You got to really love you some theater to go see that show.
Yeah, that's it. That's just why I went.
Well, I'm a couple grand ahead from my previous experiences. I think if I had just been to see it a lot, I would probably not be as interested in going. But those are some good casts that I had worked with before, so that's why I'm interested. And my wife's going same night, but she's going in the city in the opposite direction, and I'm going to be here for a rehearsal, so I'm going to toddle off by myself. I'm going to be that weird, creepy guy with a beard and a ponytail and a leather jacket sobbing into a Skull and Crossbones bandana during On My Own.
And who knows, I might be joining him.
Just call it a day and see Skyfall.
That was
Yeah, I might. I'll wait for that one to come out on Netflix.
That's what I said about this one. That didn't happen.
That didn't happen.
It did not.
Well, with your wife, I mean, it was bound not to.
It wasn't too bad. This is the first one I think I've actually had to go and see. I haven't gone to the movies in so long. I forgot how small the chairs are.
Yeah, we're all big guys. I'm not a wide guy, but I'm a tall.
Well,
so my knees suffer when I go to the movies.
Yeah.
And the place we went last, we saw The Hobbit a couple weeks ago, my whole family, which that could have been a nightmare. And amazingly, my children were fairly well behaved. But even with the new enlarged reclining like space shuttle seats that they put in these places now, my knees were still taking a beating.
Actually, when I went off to see Blue Man Group down in St. Louis there, I actually had to stand up at intermission and stretch things out because I honestly thought I wasn't going to be able to get up from having too long of a leg.
That's what I was hoping for when they didn't put one in the movie. It's like one elbow shoved underneath the seat, the other is stuck on that entire glass of ice that they gave me with a spritz of pop at the top. So I had one arm that was asleep because there's no circulation, another was just numb.
But anyway,
yeah.
So that's that. That's what's going on in the theater world. Actually, that's what's going on in the film world. In the theater world, we could talk about what we're working on a little bit this week. I've got a production of The Sound of Music opening up, which I actually talked about that a while ago. That was one of the choirs I recorded using the mid-side mic technique. Put that into service this week. Did a bunch of really, really quick sound effects editing. Got on sounddogs.com, by the way, a little plug for them. That's where I go for all my sound effects. Really, really cheap, and they have some really good stuff. They just got, I mean, in addition to all the, footsteps, dogs barking, rain, thunder, doorbells, like all the Foley type stuff you need, they have all the Hanna-Barbera cartoon sound effects for not a lot of money. So I just got the Jetsons for my phone. I got Scooby-Doo bowling sound effects. There's some good stuff in there.
That's great.
Where are our flying cars, by the way?
I'm saying. Something interesting that popped up there is I borrowed Gordon's Presonus Studio Live 24 because that's our preferred theater desk at the moment. Keeps the outboard gear to an absolute minimum. We've got dynamics on every in and out, graphic EQs all in the box. Real nice, small. That thing's it's not even 24 inches wide, is it?
Barely.
The 16 will go on a 19-inch rack, so the 24 can't be that much bigger. But really nice, tight, compact console to have for theater. And I have a 26-input show. So
hey.
I was looking for a way to get
I got some preamps for you.
Yeah, well, this one's unique for us because there's no pit. There's just a real upright piano on a keyboard.
Oh, wow.
So it's great. Like, I don't have to Chachi's mixing it, but he barely has to push because there's nothing to fight. Like, even when the music's going, it's awesome. So I tried a couple of things. I went, reversed through a direct box to get in through the AUX inputs, which would be like a short return on any other console. And it just wasn't working. Like, we were having to put too much gain to it to get it to work. So I ran out to the car, grabbed the Focusrite, thinking, all right, 2 mic pre's, 2 outputs, boom-de-ba, here we go. Nope, it will not wake up unless it's plugged into a computer with the drivers installed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, ART.
Yeah. So if I had the USB, the ART dual pre there, the dual pre funnels input 1 to output 1 and input 2 to output 2, it would have worked great, but I didn't have it on me. So I called in. I'm borrowing Anthony's Joe Meek for the week. He all broke up about it, too.
Yeah.
He really couldn't be sadder about the fact that he's not going to have it all week. So that's what I have going on. Gordon, what are you up to?
Well, kind of took a little bit of time off around the holidays to spend with the missus, but did manage to squeeze in one show downtown Buffalo for a little church event, trying to get all the denominations together to cooperate and kind of just raise the feeling of the season and such. And then actually about another 2 weeks I got a show down in Fredonia coming up. Our band I've been working with for the past year now. Should be a lot of fun. Get one of our junior guys back in on the lighting side and get to spend some time with him. Other than that, been kind of slow, working on a little bit of recording stuff here and there, but that's really about it.
Nice. Yeah, we just had quite a long discussion over at the restaurant about what we're going to do to kind of perpetuate things, because stuff's really slowing down for us on the live side. We've got a few things that we can sort of count on every year, but a couple of things that we could always count on every year we can't anymore. And, the bar band business is it's money, and we get more than most do for it, but it's still wretched work for the most part. We'd much rather do 10 gigs a year at $1,200 a night than 50 at 200.
Yeah.
Anthony's
Although
nodding.
sometimes, it depends on the band, too. If it's a good band,
or if you're buddies,
willing to bend.
yeah,
but
absolutely. But it's still work, and you're still in a room full of drunks, and you're the only sober guy generally. Well, I am. I can't.
I'm like a 2 beer max when I mix. So.
Yeah. I actually did a bar gig. I was a little nervous on the way over because I was like, I hope I remember how to do this. And like, been all spoiled.
One he didn't even realize he was doing until 3 days before, was it?
Oh no, we had it sorted out.
Okay.
I just didn't want to do it because of the location it was in, but it wound up not being bad. Yeah. This place, they don't. It's a restaurant and a bar and a bowling alley and all this other stuff. So like, they don't want to give you the room till 8, which is really 8:30 by the time the last fat Italian guy finishes his fish fry, and they can move the tables. So you actually get the room at 8:30, and they want you playing at 9:30. Although it wasn't that packed this year, which is weird for New Year's, but there was like one family in the spot where the band was going to play. So like at 8, they just moved all the tables, and I set up and off we went. And it was kind of a cool gig. I actually borrowed another friend's Presonus because I don't have... I still have analog mixers. I'm about to sell my Soundcraft to buy a Behringer. Let that one... roll that one around in your moment of silence.
So for our German
tonight.
members there,
Thing is, though, we keep bringing it up. The Behringer X32 digital desk is getting great reviews. I was actually kind of doubting that it would ever be rider-friendly, but I think it's going to wind up being rider-friendly, because rental houses are buying them up literally by the dozens, like putting in orders for 2 dozen of these desks at a stretch. They're finding crazy work in corporate, mobile stages.
Yeah.
So like, I wouldn't be surprised if the next music festival you go to, probably not like the second stage at a Warped Tour or another multi-stage festival, but
Those little pop-up ones.
Yeah, quite likely to pop up on anything that's probably 40,000 watts or under, either line array or traditional. They're really holding their own in the reviews I'm seeing coming back for and not like magazine reviews, like guys in forums who bought some or whose band played on a stage that had them. So anyway, that
the Cold Medicine is awesome for stuff like this. I just had a vision of once enough of them are sold and out there, it's going to be like Transformers, and they're all going to join together.
They're going to rebel,
and destroy everything.
Yeah,
all that's good.
Awesome.
All that's good in the world. All the Midases. All the
well, they'll probably leave the
acoustics.
Midases because they'll respect the parent company.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
So all the Soundcrafts.
I think they're actually built in the old Midas plant in Britain because the same parent company owns them. And that's the thing. Like the mic pre's in them aren't. They say they're Midas preamps. They're not like a direct copy of like an XL pre or.
They didn't pull it out of a Heritage.
But the Midas guys did work on them, so they're pretty good. I hear.
So like the Ford guys that built the Pinto. Oh, they're the Ford guys. Same company that owns Land Rover. That we're gonna make that. Is that the comparison?
People with discerning ears are saying good stuff about it.
I know. Cold Medicine.
Well, anyway, but that made it very easy. That was an all self-powered rig. I had a pair of Yorkville powered subs, a pair of QSC K12s for mains, 4 K10s for wedges, plugged in an in-ear unit, and I was done. It was super quick and easy, and we were out of there. Band stopped at like 1:55. I was driving away before 3 a.m. It was beautiful.
Nice.
So, Anth, what have you been working on?
We got a movie dropped on me this week.
Yeah, that.
Go produce that quickly.
Yeah, it's almost done. Actually,
Was it a film about your life?
No, I guess they're doing the pastor of my church. They're doing a docudrama, or I don't know what it actually is, but there's they're doing like a biography of his life on film, and there are a couple songs that he really likes. So on Wednesday, my boss sent me a text saying, "Hey, this guy is going to get a hold of you. He just wants to have a couple songs recorded for the movie. So, I'm going to be singing on one, and then he'll be singing on another one." I said, okay. It was on Wednesday. On Thursday, I got an email from him with 2 tracks that he wanted. They're going to be covers. One's an Elvis song, and then another one is I'll Fly Away. So they got the Alison Krauss version of that. They want to do something like that. I said, okay, I'll start working on them. I'll let you know when, we're ready for vocals and all that stuff. I'll send you some roughs. She's like, okay, I'll look at my calendar and give you a list of when I'm available to do vocals on them. That was Thursday. On Thursday, later that afternoon, I got an email back from him saying, okay, I'm available Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday for vocals. So,
and that was pretty much the reaction.
that was the start of my.
Want to do vocal track? You want to track vocals for 4 days for one song?
No. I was more concerned with the fact that I had just gotten the songs, and he wanted to like final vocals, not like scratch track vocals. Like it'll be done by Monday, right? Like, well, if this was the only thing that I had to do, and not the other 40 hours of my job a week that I have to do, then it'll be possible. So I couldn't find a drummer, couldn't find keyboard players, couldn't find an organ player, couldn't really do anything. So I hate doing this. I had to give myself like 30 seconds of pre-roll time, turn my monitors in my control room down, hit record, jump out to the other room, go put the cans on, sit down, and hope that I got the count right in my head to start playing on one.
Why didn't you have a click?
I did, but I didn't know how many. Because there's a dead zone from where the click starts in my office to where the scratch track is going to start, and all that stuff. And like, there's a.
Well, just you need to put your voice in the click. So like 1, 2, ready.
Hey, check. Yeah. Play now. No, finally.
That's what they do for the clicks on stage at our place. There's like a voice in
One.
verse. Intro.
That's terrifying. I would constantly be looking around the stage. For
It's a
something
super voice, too.
Who's that
It's like,
son of a... Gonna
power in the name. 1, 2, ready, go. It's power directions.
That's crazy at a Wesleyan church.
I know.
Oh, but got that one done. Got the Elvis one pretty much done. I've got a guy, I'm going to his place on Tuesday to do strings and organ, and I had to tell this vocalist that it's not going to be done until next week because I have other stuff that needs to get done on top of this thing that he dropped on me, and I had 2 days to do. And there's another song that my boss decided that instead of a country song, she's like, I think I want to do it Celtic. I'm like, oh, well, that's a jump.
Yeah, just a bit.
Let me find my Tam.
I was like, well, how Celtic? She's like, don't worry about it. I'll just come in with it when I'm ready. I was like, okay, all right. Well, could you know what? Yes, do it that way. We're going to sort this out, and it's going to be all kinds of fun. Other than that, not a whole lot. Oh, I did find, I got called in for a New Year's Eve service at the church, and could you just make sure everything's working for it? It's not going to be real big, just a couple things. So I went in, found this smaller building that seats about 100 people, and there's a piano and like 2 vocal mics in there, and that's it. I went in to find the sustain pedal unplugged and the end just tied around the stand. All 3 mic cables were plugged into each other to make one very, very long microphone cord that wasn't plugged into anything. And they popped a GFCI and blew a breaker. I don't know how they did that. I mean, it's a 20 amp fuse, and there's maybe 12 amps of stuff in that entire building. Right. I have no idea how they did. Like, the vacuum's only 8 amps. Like, there's not enough stuff in that building to be on at one time. And there's, everything's on a separate breaker. So I think they had a hairdryer convention in the room. So they ended up
trying to make microwave popcorn with a hairdryer.
Right, yeah. So they
the heat was off.
Yeah, so they ran the power from the stage all the way across the room with an extension cord back into the Furman on the side of house rack, I guess.
Just another day as a sound guy at a church. You should write a book.
Where'd the mixer go today?
It's like being an EMT. You never know. The old lady just fell down. She fell down 32 flights of stairs. I don't know how she fell down 32 flights of stairs. They just said stairs. I don't know. That's... Yeah.
I used to love/hate. I would love it because it would make a funny story later. But when I worked in maintenance at a hospital. I was the house electrician. We would get calls. We had 2 facilities that were about a block apart. We get calls at the main facility. None of the elevators are working over at the other one. So, jump in a truck, go flying over there, and actually
hit the button.
3 out of the 4 elevators worked, just not the one that would allow, whatever nurse to waddle to her station in comfort. So, she didn't want to go
check the other ones.
Literally 30 feet down the hall and catch the other elevator that would stop at her floor and turn her out. That would have meant 60 feet total of extra. But just it constantly there would be calls coming in like the everything is broken, and you go up and it'd be like just some minor thing like
the light bulb's out. Yeah.
No, the switch is off.
Right. And then sometimes
that's always my favorite. Like, my heat doesn't work. On. Hey, it's getting warmer. How'd you do that?
I know this doesn't look like your thermostat, but that's what it is. Anyway,
someone put the switch in the office bathroom, like in the administrative office bathrooms at church. Someone replaced the light switch. The switch was broken. It's one of those motion ones. They put it in upside down. I've gotten 4 phone calls about why don't you turn it on? It doesn't work. I was like, well, was it off? They're like, no, I just hit the switch. It was already up. I'm like, well, so it was already up. What did you hitting the switch up again do? Like, you didn't put it down. You just smacked it. Smacked it. I'm not going to change it either, though. It's it's staying that way.
You better change it once a week in perpetuity.
Or get another one of the motion ones and wire it backwards.
Figure out a way to put it in sideways one week. How you like me now?
Get a slider.
We've got, I'm going to say, I've got like a couple of the the round dials. I've got a couple of the push button
the
with
round
the
dial
dimmable.
would be really good, but get rid of the switch feature on it.
You know how annoying that is, though? Because usually that's like when I'm locking up, that's the last bathroom I hit before the way out. So I've been holding it the entire walk around the campus. And I get there and usually just like get enough time to like start taking my pants off to go and take a leak and just kind of whack somewhere around the general vicinity of the light switch. So there might be a wet wall in the morning if I forget that I replace it with a dial.
All right. Well, the one thing, I didn't have a ton of time to do research on this. Was driving to work, and the guys on the Audio Nowcast, there'll be a post on our blog about this, by the way. I'm going to try and kind of aggregate all the different info that I have about this. So there'll be a few links to follow on Monday, January 7th, 2013. If you're listening to this far in the future, check out the blog, smart2noise.blogspot.com, and you will find us. Well, anyway, the Audio Nowcast, which you should totally check out because they are some monster audio guys from out west. Their guests were a couple of gents who've come up with this new proprietary thing for music, and just for their credibility, like they're a couple super deep synth guys. Like they've been working on synths since like invented MIDI before MIDI. Like came up with their own way to control synths with computers back when that didn't, like before that was a thing. They did it with a couple Commodores and some serial cables and stuff. And then, like, the MIDI salesman came around like, hey, we got this great new thing. And all their music store buddies were like, yeah, we know this guy that does that. Like, no, you don't understand. It allows synths and drum machines to talk to each other and everything stays synced up. And they're like, yeah, our buddy does that. And so they took the MIDI reps up to this dude's house and got him a job. Anyway, the thing that they're onto now, it's called Max D, as in like HD, Max D. Anyway, read the blog on Monday. I'll have links up to everything. What it is this new method of processing audio that deals with phase issues, deals with flat topping from overcompression, like deals with masking and stuff, and what you get is a low bitrate MP3 that sounds noticeably better. And let me lay it out a little bit. I played it for Anthony. I'll let him talk about his reaction to it. Yeah. I went to the website, listened to the demo. I could hear the difference right away on a cheap $10 pair of cans. I could hear it on my $20 computer speakers. I could hear it. I wasn't sure if I could hear it or not on my laptop speakers, which is why I went to the cans and the desktop speakers. Yeah. The dealing with this stuff basically takes a collapsed, folded, overcompressed mix, and somehow, like, I don't know, a process called magic happens, and you get dynamic range back, you get stereo width back.
A lot of stereo. Like, because I did it as soon as we left for lunch, or left from lunch. I went back, and that was the first thing I did. And I showed everybody else in my office, and no one gave a crap. And I'm sitting there with my mind blown, being like, what do you mean you don't? And they're like, well, yeah, it sounds different. Like, you don't get it. Yeah. You don't get it.
No one gets what
Go
we
away.
do. That's why we do it.
And so their spiel is like something like 90% of the music that's out there moving around on the internet is a 128K MP3. Now, granted, you can pay 29 cents extra and get a higher bitrate thing from Apple or Google or Amazon or wherever you're buying stuff, and you can obviously rip your own stuff at any rate you want or go lossless. But the majority of folks are perfectly content with a 128K MP3 file, and they sound like garbage because honestly, a lot of the music doesn't sound that great on CD. Like the loudness wars are supposedly officially over, but
yay,
no.
Yeah.
So anyway, their process will. They say, and now, you got to take it with a grain of salt, and they'll even, if you listen to the original podcast where they're interviewing the inventors, it's not on everything. Like, it's not this panacea, but they claim, and I would imagine they can back it up, that it's possible to create a 128K MP3 with more dynamic range than a 16:44:1 CD recording. And the really cool thing about it is, like, it's not an encode-decode process. So it's not one of these things where, like, you're going to have to wait for, like, all the devices to have Dolby or for all the, TV and radio stations to buy it up.
Presented in Dolby surrounds.
Yeah. So you put it on your master file, and then it doesn't matter where it goes. Your audio is sort of protected. And what did we listen to? The examples are kind of interesting on the website. Like I sat Anthony down in front of my KRKs, and we listened to Smoke on the Water. And so you click on it, and you hear 10 or 15 seconds of stock standard audio, and it's bad. Like you can hear the aliasing in it. Like they purposely used a really junk MP3.
Yeah.
So then you hear beep, and the process kicks in. And that was when I had to clean parts of Anthony's skull off the ceiling and jaw off the floor.
I don't. What did you say? You said something. You're like, no one else in here understands it. I think you're the only person that'll get it. And I had the same exact experience when I went back.
Yeah.
No one cared. No one. Like I'm kind of upset about this. That's why I wish it was a video blog sometimes. Like.
Although I got asked about that just this week, like, why don't we ever do video? I'm like, well,
have you met us?
We're sound guys. We sit in the back of the room for a reason.
There's a reason we're that guy in the back of the room in a black T-shirt. It's like, I'll give you we could have descriptive video. There's Anthony, portly Jew in black sweatpants. There's Gordon, portly Polish guy, strapping.
No, not Polish. Only marrying Polish.
All right, German,
German and Irish.
Strapping
English.
German fellow,
yeah.
and me, the skeletal, bearded, ponytailed sound guy. So there's they're like the Three Stooges of audio over here. There's really nothing to see here.
I'm wearing. It's all from the same store. Technically, I'm wearing a sweatsuit.
Oh. Does that mean you're Italian?
No.
Oh.
Black hoodie, sweatshirt, black sweatpants, all from the same location. So I would say it's a sweatsuit.
Yeah. So tonight we're actually bruised because I'm wearing a bunch of stuff like the girl got me. So I'm in like blue. So
I'm black from head to toe. I am blacker than Satan's boxer shorts over here.
I'm sorry, audio gods. I will wear black tomorrow in honor of you.
So anyway, those demos are out there now, and they're looking for partners and investors. But the really cool process that they were talking about, and what's I think is going to make this take off, is one, they're continuing to improve the process, and two, there's no penalty for doing this. It's not like you have to carry lossless files around if you want full dynamic range and stereo width. It'll do it. Like you can process a 128 MP3 and it's still the same file size when you're done. And then they say it also doesn't matter how many more times it gets encoded, it's still there. And where this comes in is with TV and radio. If you process your TV show, and they actually had a couple samples where they had processed like a chunk of Glee and a chunk of a music program. Once the product's encoded, let's say I think their example was like it's a Fox program, and then it hits the satellite uplink, and then it comes down to Comcast and Time Warner and Cox and whoever whatever digital providers, and then it goes out to hubs and stations and whatever. It doesn't matter how many times it's encoded. It's still going to protect about 95% of the dynamic range, which means TV is going to finally start to sound like something, even if you're not listening on a great surround system. And the really cool thing is they're going to make this available to the masses pretty soon, I think. Unless I may need to listen to the podcast again. I don't know if this is in beta somewhere where you can actually get it. But here's the deal. You take your files, and this can be anything. This can be the record you're making, your wedding video, your Beatles CDs that you ripped into iTunes, whatever. Upload it to the site. You get a 90-second preview to fiddle with the plugin and get it set how you think you want it. And then 50 cents a pop to process. So I don't know if I would go through my whole iTunes collection. I mean, it's not...
I'd be broke.
Yeah. Well, mine's not that big, and I'd be broke, but I don't make very much. But if you're making a record, for 12 songs, $6.
Mm-hmm.
It's protection.
Yeah.
And it from listening to it, it might even, with a couple of tweaks, like save you from yourself a little bit if you have a tendency to still overcompress or, collapse the stereo image for whatever reason. Like it's pretty cool. So anyway, Max D audio, check that out. I forget. Anyway, read the blog tomorrow. It'll be up there.
I think it's maxsound.com is the
there you go
site with all the demos on it.
Way to be on top of it. Mm-hmm. I was gonna be all prepared and have all that stuff looked up.
I visited it so many times, and one day it comes up as one of the most viewed websites.
Oh, nice!
On that page of tiles on my Mac, right next to the Simpsons Wikipedia page.
So anyway, that was exciting to see, and I've actually been thinking about this a little bit this week. I've had this experience, I don't know how many times, where like you go to your buddy's house, like at a party, and they have their music up so loud that you can't talk. But every time you turn it down, everybody growls at you. So like everybody's just making themselves hoarse over music that they're not paying attention to, and then the EQ's all dished out. So it's like, graphic
Smiley
EQ.
face or frowny face?
Yeah, smiley face graphs on there. And you're like, well, wait a minute, just listen to this flat for a minute. And so you flatten it out, and they're like, it doesn't sound as good. And you're just like, this is why you make life difficult.
Yep.
So I don't know, I'm gathering the intelligence to do an article on psychoacoustics and public perception and a few other things.
John's going to get whacked by the pop music mob is what's going to happen.
I'm going to get whacked by guys at parties, probably.
Yeah.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him listen flat. All right. This might be a short one, although we did make the halfway point without too much trouble. So
we barely talked about audio for the first 15 minutes, too.
Well, that's been fairly typical, though.
I think people listen. People keep coming back for the charm.
Yeah.
I am happy to see that our audience has somewhat returned. Not so much for the podcast, but after not posting to the blog for most of a month and a half, we're back up. We saw almost 2,000 page views in the month of December, which was real encouraging.
How close did we get to that?
We only missed by like 18 or something like that.
Oh,
it was just a hair under 2,000. But we do have some interesting stuff coming up. We decided we've done as much as we can to post every single day. So we're only going to post 5 days a week, podcast on Sundays, and hopefully with Carl and Anthony and contributing regularly and a few other people contributing occasionally, we'll at least most weekdays have something for you to check out. And let me see, that reminded me of one other thing. Dead air. Son of a... Oh, anybody got anything?
There's for Tapis.
Kind of talked about live stuff a bit. What? Smartphone?
Simpsons
Simpsons on the smartphone.
I smell the thinking.
No, I'm trying to think of, like, I haven't done anything strange or different other than my wily rack of drum tracking. Ended up going from for that drum tracking for the movie. I didn't feel like digging all this stuff out because it's not like I've got everything in a locker. I've got everything in a drum cage live downstairs, so I have to go and take that sucker apart to pull everything out. So it's like, you know what? Screw it. There's kick, snare, overheads. I was thinking about just doing one overhead. I was like, I'm copying an Elvis song. They might have had one mic at all.
Yeah.
So I had, I got my Avalon back finally. Mine. Had that. Had the Joe Meek stacked on top of that. Had the Scarlett stacked on top of that. Had my talkback mic stacked on top of that. The rack of gear to record 4 mics was taller than I was. But I do have a 1176 Blue Line coming in, I think this week or next week, and a guy that I'm going to be working with over at the studio that John's going to be recording at least something at fairly soon has built out of I believe if I'm not mistaken, new old stock parts. He's built himself a Neve 1073 strip.
Nice.
So I'll have that.
Very nice. The shoot, I had an idea twice and it keeps falling on my head. This was my problem around
Stop
the campfire.
listening to me.
It's my problem around the campfire this summer. Shucks. Oh, Glenn Johns. You were talking about drum miking.
Right.
The Glenn Johns technique has seen like a real. It kind of surfaced over the last month. It popped up once on Reddit, which inspired me to kind of dig into it more
Did you see
than
how many hits that got.
Got
Just
a lot
for us, like I think more than anything, it was almost.
Yeah. So the Glenn Johns post that I did for our blog was like the fourth largest article of all time and still growing.
I definitely read it, but I can't remember what the whole scoop was.
Well, in short, let me finish explaining about the thing. Anyway, it's starting to pop up. A lot of guys apparently saw that on Reddit, and then saw some other. It was just getting a lot of mentions in the live audio, in the live sound, and in the audio engineering subreddits. And so now what we're starting to see, like 2-3 weeks later, is young guys going in and like just giving it a rip. Like these guys that had 2 mics and thought they couldn't record drums are like borrowing a 3rd mic and recording drums and really having pretty good luck with it. So that was neat to see, guys diving in and exploring stuff, which reminded me to say, check out the Facebook page There's not a ton of activity on there, but if you guys have questions, that's the spot to hit. We're all of us here to answer. Anthony and I are on there at least once a day. Anthony's on there a fair amount, actually. So get in touch with us. We may not turn your question into like a Dear SNR blog post or talk about it on the blog or on the podcast. But if you're looking for audio advice or have an idea you want to float out there, that's a great spot. The community is slowly taking off. It's not huge yet, but with your you could become part of the community over there and be part of the question and answer that's hopefully going to spring up over there. So for Gordon's benefit, the Glenn Johns technique is he's this engineer from Britain. He's got a fantastic list of credentials. There's a great video of him showing a bunch of college students how to do this. You take a large diaphragm condensers, preferably, although it'll work with any mics. What it really is just like an A-B spaced pair, but asymmetrical for the drums. Okay. So you put one sort of roughly over the rack tom, pointed at the snare, and one sort of roughly over the floor tom ride area.
And then back to the snare.
Also pointed at the snare, yeah. So you get, with no work, you just pan them out. Your crash cymbals don't interact. You get lovely separation. The toms pan nicely through a stereo image. Yep. The snare stays nice and coherent. And depending on the mics and the positioning a little bit, you can pretty much always get away without a snare mic. You can sometimes, depending on the type of music and the style of kit, get away without a kick mic.
Yeah. I think that's my favorite part of that video. He's like, and if you got a good console, he's like, not that thing. I wouldn't make a cup of tea on that. That console costs more money than I'm going to make in the next 10 years. Shut up.
But when you're Glenn Johns himself.
Right, yeah.
That's what I aspire to one day, is to be John Dayton himself. Like when people...
Yeah, like I was thinking about that. I was like, we got to come up with some cool stuff. So they name a mic technique after us.
Word.
Or there's something just strange enough. So we were like, yeah, we did that first. God,
that's the Dayton Kazubuki effect.
Yeah. What's that?
You gotta have 3 letters. Come on.
When you're overworked, underpaid, and you still come up with awesome stuff all the time. Yeah.
Actually, what it'll be is that'll be the procedure.
Well, John, actually, your thing's going to be that MIDI to 3-phase adapter you keep mentioning.
Yeah. Keyboard fixer. Gordon and I had a hypothetical. We were grousing about his Presonus is sick again. So we were grousing about consoles, and it's like, at least with an analog, if it borks, it either all the way borks or, just one channel borks and you're fine. And so we're like, well, on a bigger desk, it's usually the power supply that goes, because it's usually like an external unit and they get beat up or whatever. And we were trying to think, like, what do you do? If the other one's like at the shop 2 hours away, or, you're at church and there's just not a backup supply. Yeah. So I was like, all right, well, go find like 3 or maybe 4 computers and rip the power supplies out. And we actually figured I could get my Midas going. I need 5 volts, 12 volts, and dual rail 18 volt would make the console function. Yeah. I'd have everything except phantom power. I could swap out my overheads for dynamic mics and swap my active DIs for passives, and I could do a show. Yeah. Service. It's church.
But the show must go on regardless.
Exactly.
One of the worst leaders at church started advertising them as insert his name, has a show at 9:30 a.m. Sunday morning at the Tabernacle. Like, come on, dude. We're not there yet. We don't. Oh, that was. I got an email this week about, apparently we're doing an Easter production now. That's good. At least I found out before Easter.
Yeah.
But it's not really an Easter production, but it's a Christmas production that they changed like 4 or 5 lines in, and now it's an Easter production or some garbage like that. So my wife's leading it, and they're like, well, instead of wasting all kinds of money and time building sets, let's just do it all with lighting. I was like, oh, okay, great. You're going to buy me new lights, right?
I've seen your rig. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
I don't know. One side's going to be blue, one side's going to be red, I guess.
They must have read that in a theater magazine or something.
Are you going to get that ladder combination you had out there a couple years ago?
What ladder
Wasn't it like ladder off a scaffold? And...
Oh, we were talking about that when we launched a kid down the scaffolding on a Rascal scooter. Yeah, that thing. No, we're not doing that again. That kid's just tall enough now, like he's grown, he would whack the ceiling.
Oh, man.
And he was the only one who had clearance?
Man,
he's an orphan.
I'm really going to miss the scaffold to a 6-foot ladder to an extension ladder sitting balancing on top of the 6-footer.
We do some awful
You're sure
stuff.
Your safety officer doesn't listen?
Safety? Wait, what's that? Hang on.
OSHA actually applies occasionally where you work.
Well, yeah.
They let us off on stuff. We feed the poor.
This is why I'm not
Angels
a
watch
guy. All
over
my
us
stuff's
while
on
we
the ground.
risk
It's
our
all ground
necks.
stack.
The last time I got out of the ceiling, like no joke, the next day found the harness. It was just sitting on a desk. It wasn't there. Like looked at the desk the day before, it was not there. The day after I finished all the stuff, just crawling around, like grabbing on like 18 gauge wire because that's gonna help. Found the harness.
Cool.
Dare to live dangerously.
Should I hit pause while we think of something else to talk about? Oh, I know what I had another topic. We're talking about diversifying the business a little bit, just because some of the stuff that we've sort of always counted on is starting to dry up, and some of it is starting to dry up, and we don't really care because it wasn't that great to begin with. But we were just looking at other things that, other services that you can offer if you've got a rig, or even if you don't have a rig. One of the things Gordon and I were talking about over dinner just now was getting set up to do archival recordings of school events. Probably not plays, but like the spring concert, the Christmas concert.
So how I got my start in this business.
Right. And there's if you can get the business, if you can convince places to let you do it, there's probably a fair amount of money to be made in. So we're figuring out how to go about promoting ourselves and weaseling, because it's not something you want to try and we could each go to our own alma maters and maybe a couple other schools in the neighborhood and weasel our ways in there, but. That'll be an interesting thing to try and figure out how we can, get the band director to part with $200-$400 of their budget to get a good recording of the concert, especially when they may or may not be able to legally sell it to the parents,
right.
Depending on whether the material's in the public domain or not. But for setup wise, all you need is a couple large diaphragm condensers, which could be anything, or even pencil mics, really, and just do a spaced pair into a little $100 interface and into your.
Come on, that thing was like what, 67, I think, for the ART.
Oh, the AR, you can have an ART for 35 on eBay. The Focusrite was 130 delivered to my door. I mentioned about that thing. Tried to plug that in, and it. Yeah, I think I did say that. It'll only wake up if it's connected to a computer with the drivers installed.
That sucks. We got to figure out a way around that because it's so nice.
Well, I could have just installed the software on my netbook that I had sitting right there, but.
Well, I just mean like if it's out somewhere, like if you want two nice pre-channels, there's got to be a way.
Well, you could plug it in to whatever your host machine is, but you wouldn't have to include the interface in the session, although at that point you might as well. Or are you talking about for like out on a gig? Mm-hmm. No, I'll just install the software on my netbook and have my like.
Well, if there's not a netbook though, like I wonder if there's a firmware thing that
I'm been wanting to find out why that is, like why you couldn't just use it as a through unit. Now, although what's different about this one is the ART, channel 1 goes straight through to the left output, channel 2 goes straight through to the right output, and same in the cans, like left ear, right ear is mic pre 1, mic pre 2. Would have been perfect for what I was doing because it keeps things discrete. The Focusrite for the monitoring, actually, with the Sapphire, you have that kind of control. The Scarlets don't, though. So maybe that's why you go with the Sapphire, if you want to be able to use them standalone and split them out and stuff. You have those controls right on it.
Makes sense.
I almost bought one too, but I really wanted the Scarlet plugins.
I think you get the Scarlet plugins with the Sapphire, don't you? I think with like any Focusrite plugin, they just product.
Oh really? I thought it was just the Scarlets because it's called the Scarlet package,
right? But I'm pretty sure they threw.
I should have looked into that because I think I actually really wanted this Sapphire more.
John is now shedding tears, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I got a birthday coming up. It's all good. I'm impossible to shop for. You can never have too many inputs. Although, well, really, like I kept, I had a couple Amazon cards that I gotten for Christmas, and I was hoping I would get enough to get this Focusrite. And I kept trying to think, like, okay, I can get a 2i2 new from Amazon. It'll be guaranteed to come with a plug-in package. Or, wait a minute, what's on eBay? Oh, I could get the 8i6 used, but with no plugins for only $10 more than I have gift cards. Or I could get the 16i whatever refurbished with the plugins for only $60 more than no, because I need gas and I need ramen noodles, or I'd be like a see-through sound guy. So I talked myself out of that, in part because I'm eventually going to own an X32, and I'll just be able to plug that in and have 32 pretty decent mic pre's for whatever I need to tackle.
If your plug-in pack still works and like over the next 2 months you use it every day, let me know because you got 5 installs and mine's being real dumb.
It probably just knows where it is, and it's probably just. I swear, your place of employment has somebody put the juju on you. I think
it's bad. There's just my Altiverb doesn't work after like a month and a half, and I've got to reauthorize that. I think it wants me to go to 7 because I'm still on 6, and we jerry-rigged that around because it was sold. It was still a PowerPC program, like it wouldn't run on Intel Mac,
right?
So we're like, well, we spent like $800 on this back in the day, so upgrade. Like, don't give us 7, give us 6. That's fine. It works. Like, I still have an iLock one that actually looks like a key. The key to all your technical problems.
Yes, it is.
You can put it on your keychain. We're not going to protect the end, so that can just snap right off. Send it back to us and wait another 30 days so you can start working on your projects again.
Yeah. That's why I don't bother with iLock. Anything I'm using is...
If you want to get that Slate stuff, though, it's... All the Slate stuff's iLock.
It's not VST, though, is it?
Mm-hmm.
What will we look... Oh, the Massenburg stuff isn't. Or no, not Massenburg. Massey.
The Macy, yeah.
Massey stuff is not VST.
No, yeah, no, that's only RTOS and TDM, but there's no anything for that. There's no licensing. But.
Yeah. The another thing I was thinking of, you said Altiverb made me think of this. I was hoping to do, I went and blasted an Impulse, like a sine sweep, out into my main room, had an A-B pair set up, recorded it, because I wanted to go like process a proper convolution reverb. Cannot get it to work in Reaper. Like the convolution plugin, like it generates the sine sweep for you, and then you plug that and your recording in, and it sorts out the Impulse file. All I get is clicking. Like, I'm reading up on stuff like, oh, they got to be the exact same length. Okay. They got to be the same bit depth. Okay. They got to be the same sample rate. Okay. Did all that.
Did you try all that crazy juju that you were talking about, plugging in the zip drives with? Yeah.
That's what it is. I was working off a parallel port zip drive the whole time.
Yeah. You didn't take it apart and lift the connections and sacrifice the chicken. That's where you went wrong.
Right, what I was doing wrong. So yeah, that's first real snag I've hit with Reaper in about 2 versions. Like, it's just been such a smooth OS. So anyway, I was going to have an article ready about Impulse Reverb and a mini podcast for like the middle of the week. Because I guess I think not everybody wants to listen to an hour of us babbling, but the 10-minute piece I did about mid-side mic technique with examples got like 50 hits, 50 listens. So nice. That's about 20 more than listen to the podcast on a real good week. So, we're gonna start.
This is gonna be a real bad week. Once people get like 15 minutes in, they're like, "What the hell? What is going? What?"
We're talking about Les Mis. Oh, so we should thank us because we didn't let Anthony's wife. We were gonna give her a microphone and do a review of Les Mis, which we would still be doing if she hadn't gone to bed. Which would have probably sidetracked into like Miss Saigon and.
Oh boy.
Then I would have gone to bed.
But anyway, as soon as I figure that out, which, yeah, I don't know. Actually, you know what it is? I think I really need to upgrade, but you don't do that in the middle of a big project. No matter how many prompts and warnings it gives you, you do not upgrade in the middle of a big project.
Oh yeah, sure. Let me bump this up from 44.1 to 96. Wait, which song did I do that on?
No, I mean upgrade the software.
Oh, I know. I've almost accidentally done that. Like, well, I'm almost done with this project, so I'll remember to flip the switches and get it back to 44. Nope, never remembered to flip the switches back, and that caused problems.
Wait, so was that when you were in Logic or in Pro Tools?
Logic, because there's actual it's not there's an actual dip switch setting on the back of my interface, which is kind of strange for an $1,800 interface. You think you could just change it on the computer?
Yeah,
but Logic had problems with different sample rates.
Logic has problems with everything.
Well, yeah. That's funny that came up because somebody else on one of the forums was having issues with that. Like, what do I do? My whole session's at 44.1 and somebody just gave me 48 stems. I'm like, use a modern DAW that just sorts that crap out for you without thinking about it.
I think it's got something to do with with the actual hardware that's there. It only wants to process 1 bit rate at a time. So if I'm powering it all through the interface...
Okay, if your interface... Does your interface have DSP in it then? Is that where the processing goes on? Okay. Yeah, I can see that was why it was an issue with Pro Tools back in the day. Like, that card would only want to work at 1 sample rate. But that's the beauty thing about Reaper is, like, once it's all, I've got sessions with all manner of different stuff in there. Like for the movie, I had, you know, like stuff that I recorded at 1644, stuff that I recorded at 2448, MP3 files for sound effect, like just all kinds of crazy stuff, and it just chewed right through it.
Yeah. Also, I think if the day ever actually comes when I have an entire like week of no projects at all, like everything done at once, it's never going to happen. But I can dream. I dream to dream. Son of a. Yeah, I didn't sleep through the whole thing.
That was a Leme's joke for anybody who hasn't. For all you real men out there who haven't seen it.
No, but like there may come a day where I can make the jump all the way up to 32 float.
What's holding you back?
Forgetting to set the dip switches back when I change sessions and causing a hell of a lot of problems for me in the long run.
Wait, so you have, for the mix engine bit rate?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's fine, but the sample bit rate, yeah, between 44.1,
oh, okay,
48, 80, 88. And
so what's your preferred, where would you like to be working at?
At least 48. Like, if I could do 88, I'd be okay with that. I would just need to clean out all the crap and get a nice big external to back up.
Yeah. That was the only thing holding me back, is having to record so much. Like, I already have half a terabyte of live tracks from my event.
Like, if I had, I guess, like, I would be happy just going up to 48 for now until I get an actual stack of nice outboard pre's or some really nice plugins that would make a difference on. For what I've got right now, I'm not going to get a whole ton more out of anything other than recording the grand piano. Yeah. Like that would make a difference.
Where it really matters is on stuff that has so much dynamic range that you really get down into the quiet stuff. That's where it really pays off.
Yeah. So eventually, you know.
Because really, I mean, where's your noise floor now? At like negative 109 or something like that?
Yeah, 108, 109 is where it floats around.
Mine's at 24-bit. Mine's all the way down to like negative 140.
Yeah.
I checked after one of the podcasts back there in the winter.
And they all float around unless it's the digital inputs, and then they'll go to negative infinity. All the analog ins are just like, we're going to screw with you for a while.
Yeah. Negative 140 is so quiet, only your hamster can hear it anyway, though.
Or on a bad day when there's nothing else going on in the room, my stupid cyber ears pick that crap up.
You do have amazing ears.
I think someone farted across the street at Tops. Oh, yep. Yeah, they do. Oh, it was more than a fart, wasn't it?
Oh, boy.
It's just every time. Well, yeah, we're past the 50-minute mark, and that's... If you could just hold it for an hour.
I held it for 3 hours doing that movie. I have not said a real bad dirty word yet, though. It's been 3 podcasts, and I have.
Do you need to just go out in the garage and cuss for a while?
No, I've got to go to work tomorrow.
Like Huck Finn did when the Witter Perkins took him in and was trying to civilize him. He had to go up in the attic and cuss for an hour every night just to get the taste of it back in his mouth. All right.
Oh, wow.
Well, if we start wrapping up now, we'll finish under an hour, and I won't exceed my file size. I was thinking about doing this one in stereo, so like we could have like Gordon in the middle and me on one side, and you on the, have it be kind of homey for, you know, home-like.
We throw the Yule log in the background.
There you go. Throw a little cracking and pop. I should have flown in fireplace noises for all the winter ones. Crickets in the summer, fireplace in the winter. Yeah. But then I was like, no, because my bit rate's already pretty low here. It's about as low as I can get it, and it only
as crackly as it can get already.
Well, actually, it sounds pretty good.
Sound like Super Mario.
It sounds okay because it's in mono, and I use variable bit rate, so it works out. But I think if I want stereo, it would be half of that per channel, and that would be.
And if we all start arguing and talking at the same time, you're screwed.
It's be a mess. But actually, have you listened to these?
Yeah.
It sounds pretty, and we're funny too. That's the thing I can't believe. Like Anthony and I sit around all night and make each other laugh anyway. But like, I'll listen to this with other people, and we're funny. It's like, not to put toot our own horn too much, but we hope this is as much fun for you as it is for us, because we're just this is what we do: hang out, and make sarcastic, biting remarks about stuff, and snark factor. That's the first thing I teach young kids who want to learn about it. Like, I don't know. How much of a bastard are you? Because it's sort of called for.
Ding! Put $1 in the swear jar, John. Bam!
That's
broke
how
the
we're going to
resolution
afford.
first.
That's
Oh,
how we're
boy.
going to afford better server space in our own domain name. Is having a
swear
swear
jar.
jar for the podcast.
If you allow the swears, we can do a swear jar. Well, what's
going to
have
happen
cloud
then is-
space like next
hang on.
week?
Instead of the swears, how about every time you call Anthony a Jew?
That hasn't happened in a while. We've moved on from. I was actually going to make a Jew reference about.
Well,
us
he made it
being
earlier
funny.
today, so it's starting back up again.
But
Well, that's just
more
part of
been-
knowing Anthony.
It's the last few podcasts has been an auto pan reference, and I went through and I found I did do an auto pan in one of those songs, and it did make it on the album. It was like some like shout in the background. I was like, it's an EDM song. Screw it. And yeah.
I used AutoPan this week on dialogue, on the reverb, on the delay feeding into the. I had dialogue going to reverb, and then I had dialogue also going to delay, and then going to reverb, and the delays have AutoPan before they go to verb.
Nice.
Oh yes. All right, so yeah, we'll have a swear jar, but I get half of it because that means every time something goes in, I have to then go back in the podcast and put white noise over whatever you said. So yeah, we can do that. It'll just take twice as long to get to server space. To smarttonoise.com, which the week we do that will be like, well, it'll be over the following week, and we'll have just purchased like the 3-year domain.
Yeah.
So anyway, it is about time to wrap it up. As usual, if you have any questions at all, even simple ones, by all means, feel free to get in touch with us. We are not hard to find on Facebook. The blog is also easy to find. Our email addresses are up there, our actual email addresses. We do have pretty good spam filters, though, so, good luck with that. If it has anything, if your audio question has anything to do with a Nigerian prince's fortune or penis enlargement, we probably won't get it. But if it's about audio, it's probably a pretty safe bet that it'll get through. So yeah, just ask us any old questions. We're happy to lay stuff out for you. Further elaborate on ideas that we talk about here. Troubleshoot stuff, give you ideas. We're more than happy to do all that. And I'll go ahead and put our services out there again. You guys that are tracking your own stuff and looking for help mixing it, we do that. If you got your stuff mixed and you want it mastered, we do that too. We are in this business. So if you got a project, even if you're just looking for an extra pair of ears on there, you want to send me a snippet of a couple of songs, I'll listen to that for free and shoot you some advice back. So we'd love to help you out. This is our joy in life, our relief from the daily grind. Yeah, grindy. All right, anybody got any parting remarks?
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
Go to
How much cold medicine are you on?
Well, that was a Freudian slip.
What'd I say?
Pretty sure you said Coke.
I said cold medicine.
No, after, yeah. How much
we've
Coke
been-
or
we've been
cold
talking about
medicine
that
are you on? About a down payment on a house worth. No.
Told you that stuff was expensive.
As I lick my gums. No, just the normal 8-hour dosage. Definitely just kicking in though, and I haven't eaten in a while, so it's. And the new Alka-Seltzer cold and cough medicine is great. I don't know when they came out with it, but it beats the old stuff for sure.
I have to pull that out. I haven't taken that in forever.
It's purple now.
Even better. So was my light scheme this week, and my boss's tie. It was. I'll tell you, my stage was looking hot tonight. I had everything purple. All right. Well, I guess we're wrapping it up. We're going to go out with a whimper. Thanks for tuning in. As always, do keep your eyes peeled. Check out the blog if you're not already. smart2noise.blogspot.com. You can also find us on Facebook. There's a link to Twitter on there, I guess.
I think I usually plug my personal Twitter on there a lot.
There you go. So yeah, hunt us down, ask us questions, and yeah, really, help us out. We're running out of stuff to write about.
It's just like Mythbusters. Please send us in things you'd like to break.
All right, so there you go. That was the podcast. This is episode 30, by the way.
Nice.
Oh, hooray! So, I don't know,
Wish it was better.
yeah, we sort of missed the mile markers. We rolled out the new theme music.
Like 26
Yeah,
or
26,
something.
yeah, for apropos of nothing other than the intern got all excited about it.
Maybe
Got the new Focusrite for episode 29.
maybe I'll do some industrial stuff. We have a new soundtrack.
Episode 50, we'll roll that out.
I'll start working 49.
Although episode 50 will be like 1 week shy of a fully... Oh, no, it won't. I forget. I'll have to look up the date of the first podcast because there were a couple weeks that we've missed. Not many. There've been a lot.
There were a couple
podcasts.
that we did like 2 or 3 in a week too.
That was true.
Yeah.
So we covered ourselves with that. Do Wednesdays and Saturdays for a while.
Yeah, I was doing the math. I can't remember if I said this on the last podcast or not, but if we pretty well keep to the schedule here till the end of the year, there will have only been 40 days in the first year of the blog without a post going up.
Yeah,
so that's pretty amazing. But
it was all in like 1 month too.
Yeah,
like just
every single day until the middle of November, and then
yeah.
And honestly, it's a shame though. Like I wish I wasn't running out of stuff to write, because if I had stuff to write, I actually would have done articles. Because writing that stuff is sort of my outlet. Like I know they say you shouldn't do what you do for your work, for your hobby, unless you're a sound guy, and then it's okay. It's so good. It's just I don't want to play golf. I don't want to fish. I want to do more sound.
You could play golf like Happy Gilmore though.
Oh, I do. I wear a kilt with no undertrow and a wife beater. Run out there, throw my clubs at people, say things like "useful shot, yay."
We can do that at Grilled Cheese Day. They got a little putt-putt course.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
We had our kilts on and everything.
One hole, but you know.
Huh. I didn't even know that. Was it like putt for a prize or?
Yeah.
I
could have sworn we both took swings at that. Unless maybe they didn't have golf last year. I know most.
They must not have last year because I didn't see it. That was awesome though. Sitting through. Anyway, we'll talk about.
We gotta get into the kilt.
I have to go to Grilled Cheese Day. I've never been to Grilled Cheese
Day.
Day.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Groundhog's Day.
February 7th.
So we watched all of Groundhog's Day last year, and then they put Ghostbusters on, and we just held the table down. We were there all diggity day. And we were like one of the first ones there, so the swag table was packed. I'm still handing out swag from that.
I'm pretty sure I still got gaff tape from that.
Awesome. All right, well, the hour mark has flown by. We're tired, as you can tell. So write in, send us some questions so we got something to talk about next week. This has been the Smart to Noise Ratio Pro Audio Podcast. John Dayton, Anthony Kozabucki.
Night, ladies.
Special guest Gordon Wood.
Night.
Signing off. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see ya.